Never
Yeah.
know with technology.
Yeah, I know. It's like I can't get into it on my phone, but apparently I can get into it on my computer, so I guess that's good.
Yeah,
Sweet. So
interesting.
we're recording. I am kind of halfway in the process of setting up the YouTube account, and after this meeting, I'm gonna get all the meetings that I have
Mm.
uploaded to the account, and then Glitz, if you wanted to do that too with a couple meetings that you have recorded, we can work together on that and get all the meetings up there. It's been a long time coming to have them all available to everybody, so it's kind of one of those for today.
It's part of starting up the engines, this stuff doesn't just
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
ride. So
That's the truth. Got to do
gonna
the
take
thing.
effort, patience, and coordination and consistency, and
Hmm.
yeah, building these things are gonna take time. And I think people are kind of forgetting that. They just are so desperate for a functional, stable community that can make some offerings that what it takes to actually, the due diligence that it takes to actually get this um, functional and providing for others, not just, established, but, to a point where, we're able to flow and create with each other
Hmm.
stuff that we can share. So, um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of the buildup. How that's my gig. Is the initial input energy to get things started. I don't mind the initial throw of effort. I mean, I mind, but I'm willing to put in the initial throw of effort. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Totally agree with
yeah.
that. And on that note too, yeah, it's been basically, I guess I don't want to necessarily like I feel like apology might be too much, but basically just noting and admitting the fact that at this point, I've been really focused on a bunch of things. One of those being this new job that I got that's been going well, making me some money so I can move into St. Pete. So that's happening today. I'm going to be moving my things over there and starting to hopefully get my bed in there if I can get transportation for it and stuff. So I'll be back in St. Pete, so we can start meeting up in person again here pretty soon. Um, I still don't know necessarily about Wednesday mornings because basically it's the middle of the week that I'll be like busting my ass.
Well,
But fortunately,
Wednesdays are also a bad time for me. I don't mean to be rude, but it's not that I need it structured around me. It's just for me. Um, I could have been doing surgeries today, not that it lined up perfectly, but working in the lab 9 to 5 is my time. I'm supposed to be paying attention to that. So it's not that I'm not flexible and can do this. It's just eventually there's going to come a time where it's going to conflict to where I can't be present, which is, I think so. Not being too attached to always needing to be present. It's
yeah,
just, that's it.
that's what I'm getting through that too because like obviously I want to be there on all the meetings with all you guys, but I'm really glad that the things have still been happening even without me. And I've watched the recorded meetings that Glitz posted and stuff, so it's exciting that we're kind of getting this thing going. It doesn't, I mean, Glitz and I have talked about this a bunch, but it's like, it can't just be like one or even a couple people just, doing the thing. It's a whole group of people. So, I'm glad that it's still like functioning without me. It's like really good to see that. So, yeah, so thank you
Mhm.
guys for your patience with me and with each other. And, we're like Ashley said, we're working towards big goals that, take quite a bit of momentum to get going. So, so it's exciting seeing the things continuing to come about, and just, kind of working together towards all these goals. So,
Yeah.
so
Jumping into one of those, can I
yeah,
segue right into something, or do
please
you have
do. Go
a
for it. I
format?
have a few things to talk about, but we can kind of just hop around but feel free to share,
Okay.
Ashley.
Okay. I'm liking, now that I thought about it more after a couple of weeks of letting it simmer, I've been really liking this idea of maybe applying for that grant that was proposed, and seeing what we can put together along the lines of a bike trailer, or like a bike trailer workshop, that we
Yeah.
can teach the homeless how to build something for themselves out of some materials. Probably recyclable materials. I think a handful that need jobs, and
Yeah.
why not go ahead and apply for a grant where that could be something that could be managed and bring income to the whole. Um, I see the project of moving forward with the tiny home build after meeting with Kevin. I got pretty much some promising things for the future. Another potential income is that basically he's got a tiny home business already ready to go. He just doesn't want to deal with the customers. So if there's any way that we can be that in between where we take in the information from the customers and get the design ideas and then put it in a presentation form and sit down with him, he can be like, okay, here's the numbers. This window needs to be this far from the door, blah, 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 and making sure that everything is checkboxed. He wants to do that. He doesn't want to deal with telling the customers they can't have their window that close to the door. Shit
Right,
like that. It's like he's been running into issues with patients with the actual person part, which I think we have plenty of people that can do the people part, from Erica to even Ellie was interested in doing some of that stuff, and they're used to doing this drawing and blueprints and stuff like that. So creating a presentation, if we get that team together, I really think that we can kind of practice with Sky and Guns getting together a diagram and everything ready to present. So that way when we to take a customer to full build. I think that this is a great opportunity to kind of run through that. So those are two things. As for personal needs being met, I feel pretty much okay. Other than I do have to address the Wednesday meeting thing. That is one thing for me. I'm not going to be able to offer a full promise of it to kind of offer that priority to that time slot. So, but other than that, carry on with anything you wanted to talk about.
No worries. I do, maybe that's something that we can discuss as a team if we wanted to either move the Wednesday morning meeting to another time or maybe move it to another day that could work for everyone better. That's something that we could all kind of discuss collectively.
Or I could just be in attendance one day a week.
Yeah, or
that's like
that's
another
fine
thing too.
Yeah.
I'm not, fixed on it. It's okay. Just kind of heads up, as my availability makes it. So
Yep. So yeah, I definitely, I can relate with that. But I do, I'm fine also, as we've kind of said, like people can obviously have meetings without any one of us. Whoever wants to have
we
meetings.
just need to make sure someone's coordinated to actually hold the meeting. That's the other part of it. It's like if one of us aren't going to be there, that we have to at least, have someone on cue for that. So.
And ideally be able to record as well, which would require the account, which we can always just use my account too. So I can always just like send people the login for my account, and they can just use it to record it, or Glitz or whoever, if someone else has Zoom or whatever. So that's something we can definitely talk about. So for this bike trailer thing, I think that's a really cool idea. I've been thinking about it a lot too. Is the grant like specifically for that, for actually creating bike trailers like that?
Ashley hasn't read the grant. I just stemmed off of what it would mean to create a tiny home that might be like collapsible in terms of like a tent on a wagon type shit. Creating something off the ground, people when they're sleeping aren't sleeping in flood water. They have something that they can put something on. Go ahead.
I don't have my camera on. Sorry, I was doing my dishes, but I have looked at bike trailers a lot for myself. So if you guys want any references or have any questions, I can try to find some links and stuff and send them your way.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I haven't opened that. I haven't opened the grant yet, so I didn't actually look at that link. It's just been bubbling in my head as how we could optimize a grant. Maybe obviously it's going to be a little dicey in terms of like making sure that we're not and I hate to say this, but enabling the homeless to stay where the police are going to be pushing them out of. So it's kind of like it's a very delicate situation where we can't be creating something too permanent to where we have all of these tiny wagons locked up in an area where people are gone to work. And then, we have them coming and destroying their tiny home trailers too, which is, possible, but it's part of it. So
reality is that there's going to be communities in like the homeless people are going to come together in communities and the cities will destroy their stuff. It is just a part of it. So helping them have things that's just, like that you there aren't enough secluded spaces for people to be alone. When people do find safe spaces, they share them. Like I've been kind of out and about. I've done a lot of community research. I've been homeless in a place that has like major tent cities. Like it's really just a part of it. And unless we want to start like really diving into politics and stuff, I think there's just nothing you can do. People are gonna get their shit destroyed, and we can help them get it back. It's just how it is.
What if we have a security guard for them?
I was
We
also
can't-
thinking, of
Yeah.
what if, I hate this too, but like, I mean, like, could we get a pod or a shipping container and rent it out to the homeless to where they could all have a little, like maybe we group rent to the location.
I think Well, you have to a shelter if you're gonna start housing homeless people. I think you'd have to
Put their
legitimately
stuff
be
in there during the day and then pull it out when they need to go. Actually house them. I just want their things.
Yeah.
There's a
Well,
difference.
could probably do like a locker, yeah, but I think
Yeah.
more you want, yeah, you'd have to have that on.
That's what I was thinking.
Like I think
Like a
in
spot
order,
that we have a place where we can have a locker. Yeah.
yeah, and people would probably definitely be willing to like move a little bit, not more than like a couple miles to obtain their things. But yeah, if somebody's got private property that they're willing, because I mean, the thing is also like if you're having a lot of people in need, you are risking like your personal property and things like that. So it's something to keep in mind. Most of the time, people are super awesome, but like just like every other aspect of the world, some people are not going to be awesome. So
Classic.
like I think if at any point you're trying to protect people's personal belongings, you're going to have to start getting into privately owned things. Like if it's not on your own private land and it's not organized and like allowed, then that's just how it's going to be. But sorry, I'm gonna turn that off and do some dishes.
Cool. Yeah, I was just wondering if the grant could provide anything along those lines too. I'm just, just brainstorming it a little bit further. Not that we need to get too deep in that. I know you had some things you wanted to address also, because that's kind of like community outreach, but it can also like offer jobs and, another thing for my dad to do. He could offer the workshop teachings and stuff, and he could be present. And, I'm trying to find something for him to plug in to do because he's got all of this effort and, and I don't want to be tending to that. Every day. I would like for him to have something he can chew on every day. So.
I'm happy to read the grant and see what we might be able to put it towards.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. That'd be great, Glitz, if you could kind of go through that. We can come up with a plan for that. I love the idea though. I think it's a really great place to get started with the community outreach aspect and even connecting it to the tiny home building and, even the concept of like, for every tiny home we build, we provide a bike trailer for someone that's homeless or something and kind of get them
Good idea.
even maybe have them working in the tiny home business as well, making some money building the bike trailers, things like that, so we can kind of
Right.
pay him to do the thing, but then that's like comes from the excess from the sale of the tiny homes that we sell to clients or even to the homeless who might be able to like either raise that money or whatever to get the tiny home. So
I volunteer to be the first homeless person working.
I volunteer
right?
to be that person as well.
Yes, we are nominating you.
Yeah, you're in the running, my friend.
Right.
But I know that that's somewhat of at least I don't know where we're at with the discussions on Skies and Gonzos, but I know that Glitz, you're intending to be involved in the developments there. Is that correct?
That's right.
Sweet. Well, that's perfect. I think that'll be really good. I think that'll be a really good place to start and kind of get Glitz going and some things too. I mean, even like the bike trailer is an awesome thing. And that's definitely for, people who are like severely homeless. And then, people like I'd love to build us all little tiny homes that we can cart around, and that'd be kind of the best move for our community. Ashley brought this up at one of the last meetings is that like really like right now, like a lot of our community is the ones that are having a hard time with homes and things. So, we got to kind of take care of ourselves so that we're able to take care of others properly as well. And I like the idea of the bike trailers because that kind of groups together. It's like both taking care of ourselves and taking care of others at the same time. So I think that's a really good move in all regards for all of our decisions. If we can manage to group in things that, like, even with the food forest and things, like that's what I've talked about, like it'd be nice to have food pantries filled with like actual fresh organic food instead of like shitty vegetables. Like I've been there quite a few times and they got almost like rotten cucumbers and stuff. They're like, yeah, you can eat them, but it's like,
Yeah.
start putting some good food into people's hands, that's kind of the move as well. So
Mhm. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
oh yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Does anyone else have anything more to say about that idea? Anything to throw out?
I was thinking that like the tiny home thing, it's all just kind of like there's going to be a lot of legal stuff, like you guys were mentioning, like if it's a private property that's parking something, there's liability concerns. If you're selling something for homeless people, we're going to get on the bad radar really quickly, which is
Yeah.
much harder to combat when in a startup situation. So just marketing as far as like the phrasing of calling something like a weekend wagon that's advertised for campers, but clearly the application is implied that it's at this price point, it'll be available at these locations or whatever it is, like, so there's definitely ways to phrase it to kind of to at least fly under the radar long enough before you start making an impact,
Yeah.
before we
Mhm.
ruffle any feathers,
Well, I like the
Um,
idea of work trade contracts because then these people are no longer homeless and workless. Like we give them a job and
Right.
a home, and now they're like actually working. So it's like getting them back into
Right.
into the actual like into trades and things like that. So I think you're
Right,
right.
which
If
which
we phrase
which would
it,
be like the city should want that. They should be like, hey,
yeah,
yes, help. Like,
right, right,
particularly St.
Mhm.
Pete, if we as long as we present it in the right way, like you're saying, of like this will be advantageous not just for the people living in these situations, but for the city as a whole,
right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, we get them onto projects that they're getting paid for, and then also, kind of they have these like jobs with nonprofits that are actually helping in various ways around the city, and we're putting them on
hmm
those projects and paying them for it. So then it's like, it kind of hits all those birds with one stone kind of scenario. So
hmm
Are we able to rent a local storage space and put lockers in it and then basically have open access to where people could come in and get their things without accessing each other's? Like, are we allowed to have many people coming into one storage unit, or would there have to be like one person overseeing it that has the one key? Or are we allowed to make many keys? Like, how does this work? Like,
that's
I
a good
haven't rented a
question.
storage unit before, so.
If there are co-ops that have kind of something similar where it'd be like a warehouse that's like turned into a metal shop, and then individual quote unquote workers or people who rent bench time do have their own separated spaces. So
Okay.
that could be the possible loophole of like a way in, is like kind of like Chris was saying, is like if you make it a business or something like that, people there are employees or independent contractors or like quote unquote renting these little spaces that they're then entitled to their privacy, security, stuff
Okay.
like that
Okay.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
like
then
that.
one more thing, the contractor definitely recommended for this first build that we not do it off-site, that we just keep it on site for now. To
Mhm.
not build the tiny home at the shop and then relocate it to the house. He said it's in our best interest to go ahead and just build it on site. And then if and when we need to relocate it, we rent a trailer, or we by then maybe have our own trailer to do any type of relocation to sell it if we want to.
Yeah.
But he's basically said that the money involved in getting a trailer and a truck, if we really want to get into big time moving, it's just better to go ahead and let someone with the liabilities and all of the stuff in order to go ahead and do that transport for us, and then collaborate with whoever that's going to be, or just pay a company to move it, because it's going to be, by the time we get into these bigger things, like if we really want to make like a shipping container community on a piece of property, which we can do in the future, we're going to need, a big truck. We're going to need a, $45,000 rig or something, a $30,000 truck and a $15,000 gooseneck trailer. But that's down the road. Not that we're starting that big either, but it is good to know, that coming
Yeah.
forward, he said it would be best to go ahead and just build this one on site.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a
And
good.
as long as we don't build any or like electric needed to run to it, then we don't need a permit either.
Right.
So basically, we're allowed to build the shed without the permit if we do like a solar panel on top
Yeah,
and
that's
have it run
definitely.
inside, if we're not like running it off of the house electricity. So there's other ways that we can kind of design this to kind of stay off of the city code and have a shed building business, and we can call it that.
Right.
Where we come out and build up sheds, just like you and I. We just broke down a shed. We're going to build one on Linda's property. We're about to go out there and build a shed, together. We're going to have to create a foundation. We're going to have to, make sure that it's secure, et cetera, et cetera. So, we're basically doing it out of plastic Lego pieces. And here we are, we can do it out
Nice.
of wood. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I think I've been wanting to segue into the food forest stuff. I've been feeling that building a lot of momentum, and I'm really excited about, just kind of like opening up the awareness to that, and what kind of workshops and classes are available nearby. I've been really enjoying just kind of seeing what is available here. Um, so, I definitely want to talk about that if you have anything
Well,
to say.
yeah, well, for one thing, something that I've talked about with Shane, who's here as well. I'm not sure
Got it.
who has or hasn't met Shane here. He just popped up on the camera there. We went over, Princess and I went over to his house up in like northern St. Pete. It's like right along Sawgrass Lake. Really beautiful place. He's got a lot of awesome plants. We've been talking about potentially hosting workshops there. Something that he had mentioned that I thought was a really cool idea would be um, like a cloning workshop where we basically take cuttings and offer them to the people who are participating, and it'd be like maybe like a 20 or 30 bucks for a ticket, and then you come and you just you leave with a whole bunch of plants or something, and then some gets basically we just distribute that funding between like Communitopia and Shane for hosting, and and maybe like another workshop and stuff. So I think that'd be a really cool place to start doing some workshops. It's got a really beautiful spot. So I don't know if you have anything to say on that, Shane.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that idea. The space here is being made available. In fact, I'm kind of working on maybe the first event that I'm putting together right now, scheduled for kind of early January, just to give time to plan it and advertise it. But it's going to be a combination of kind of a food forest guided tour and talk about all the things that we have there, plus a period of yoga and meditation where an instructor's coming in to do their part in that, and probably like a bonfire afterwards. That's kind of like optional. If people want to hang around and stick around the bonfire, then great.
Cool. Are you talking about monthly or just coming up as one event that you're starting at?
Well, yeah, I mean, our intention is to make it monthly and to start drawing in other facilitators to offer. Like, I think this first one's going to be a little bit of a test bed as we kind of learn and figure things out. We would like to add an art component to that also. So there is some, gardening and nature. There is some kind of spirituality, and then we'd love to have like an artist added into the mix there.
Yeah.
But yes,
you mean to like paint murals, or to like do like art with the plants, like doing mandalas and things like that?
So a little bit of open-ended there. I know like eco printing and dyes was one thing that really stuck with me as being a bridge between gardening and planting and
Cool.
art.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who has like a tie-dye business, and he's interested in coming out and doing like a tie-dye class. And I think there's other, art things too. I mean, whether it's like flow arts, there's a lot of people who do like fire arts and stuff that that have expressed interest. So I think it's open.
Cool.
And yes, I mean, as far as the timing in a day like this where you have a couple different activities, the gardening is going to be like one segment of that day, but there's a lot of things that we could do that I have in my kind of bag of tricks that I would like to talk about, whether it's the cloning idea, which I think would be a lot of fun for people to to learn how to propagate their plants and walk away with something in hand at the end of that. But soil building in Florida and composting, worm gardening, all sorts of stuff. So I think there's room to have a series here and offer a different set of knowledge on different months.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we should definitely keep in contact about that. I feel like we have a lot to offer as far as just like collaboration and advertisement. I do also know a bunch of people that might be interested in hosting workshops and stuff there. So yeah, we can definitely keep talking about that and finding ways we can kind of amp each other up in that regard. But that would be a really great. I think really starting in January anyway would probably be where we really start getting some of these events off the ground, and we could start advertising through October, November, December. The earlier we can start advertising and get like an event up there and start kind of like like slowly revealing some of the things that will be available at that event, kind of get people excited and interested about it. If we start doing that sooner rather than later, it could be highly successful as far as the number of people and stuff. Of course we don't want 1,000 people, but
yeah, there probably is some degree. There's space for a lot of people. Parking is probably the one limitation, and there's some spaces to park, but that might be a limiting
Where is this
factor.
located?
Sawgrass Lake, if you're familiar with St. Pete, on 275, heading out in between 54th and Gandy, there's a big park called Sawgrass.
Okay, cool.
For parking, maybe you could just like find like a nearby area that's more friendly for parking and just have someone who has like a van or something, just like do like a shuttle thing or something like that.
Shuttle, yeah.
I was thinking of
Yeah.
shuttle too, yeah.
So there definitely is like overflow, actually at the park itself, if it's during the day, and if it was in the evening, there's another location nearby. The truth is that we can probably fit a handful of cars just out front, and there is like a little bit of a no man's land county space that is like dirt parking, but it could probably fit another 8 cars out there.
Cool.
And that's probably like a good place to start. But if we ever got larger, then yeah, parking admittedly would be the kind of limiting factor. And I also just wanted to leave with you guys. I talked about an event that I'm planning with somebody that is just what we're kind of putting together. But if you guys, wanted to create a space, even in collaboration, that's great. But if you just had a concept that you wanted to put together separately, the space is available here too. So, kind of keep that in mind. It doesn't have to all be the same.
Are you open to having a sweat lodge on site?
Thank you so much, Sam.
I've talked to people. I mean, I think that, building that sweat lodge, that had to be like a permanent thing there. I don't
Not
know.
necessarily.
Oh,
Not necessarily. It can be a setup breakdown thing. That's something I've been working on too, is designing one that you can pack in, pack out. I'm really working on that type of setup. So I'm used to building and dressing one and breaking it down each time, which it takes a significant amount of effort, which is always worth it when you're doing a ceremony like that.
right.
But I would really like to come up with a structure that works for like a pop-up sweat lodge. There's got to be a way that I can lay down some poles and then just drape the dress over it and call it a day. Like there's no reason why, it might not be, those holes might be there permanently, if that makes sense. Maybe we have some post holes that we can cover up when you're not using them or something, put some caps on them. But then all we have to do is just drop in like however many poles to make the circle and then just drape the dress over it. That could be a really simple answer. So it wouldn't necessarily be a permanent thing,
Yeah, and I think I'd be very open to that. The only reason I was hesitant is that, there is good space back there, but it is an active food forest, and I have some stuff that's out there. I'd also like to leave open space to have events. So
exactly.
And then Yeah, so I mean, like, but yes, I think you know, if it was something that was you know, build up and break down, absolutely, I think that'd be wonderful.
But you're not personally opposed to having that type of activity on your property? Because
Not at all.
it is a little bit of a risky thing. Some people have big feelings about it. So, you know,
Yeah.
just kind of checking in on that.
Yeah, I love that idea for sure. Yeah, remember also like, you know, I've built some bamboo domes. That could be a good material to work with. I know Shane's got some bamboo there. I know a few other places we could source some as well. So we basically just need like a few pieces of bamboo and just you know, scoop them in there. Looks like
Yeah,
We
some of
wouldn't
the-
have
some
to
of those
bend them
pieces
into the
need to come
dome
down.
either.
yeah, exactly. Looks like we
Cool.
got somebody else that I
That's
don't know
nice.
who this is.
Yeah, that's my my friend Mandala is hopping on.
Cool.
She-
Hi, Mandala.
Yeah.
Yay!
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
she's
Thank
like
you.
she's like my sponsor. She's like totally the person who inspired me to believe in community. So
Heck yeah.
Good to have
Aw.
you
Great.
here. Very cool.
Even though I kick and scream when community problems come up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
We're getting through it.
So sweet. So yeah, so that sounds great, Shane. I definitely want to continue talking about like your event and potentially hosting events. We could even like maybe like host like a soft like advertising type event for the larger event in January, just between like Communitopia and stuff, and just have like a little thing that kind of segues into it that'd be like a lot smaller. And then we could kind of, you know, bring people in and, you know, invite them into the larger event and stuff like that. So, you know, something we can maybe do in the meantime, maybe in like November, something when it's like nicer out and, you know, have like a small, like, you know, maybe even just like us here or, you know, like a few other people or something, you know, and kind of start working towards that. Sweet.
I would love to just yeah, have a small meetup and even just share the space with you guys.
Yeah. Sweet.
Cool.
Well, let's keep talking about that for sure, and we can kind of come up with a time. Maybe we can all, because it'd be nice to
Are you
actually.
open this weekend? Is that
I
too
am
soon?
personally not,
Okay.
but maybe
Yeah.
the next weekend though. Maybe
Hey, Jess.
October 14th. Hey, sunshine.
Okay.
hmm
Are you
so
available on the 14th, Shane, or?
No, next weekend I start getting busy. I am available this weekend, but I mean,
Okay.
you know, if anyone wanted to come by and just see the space, just to see another food forest here in town, absolutely.
Okay.
But then, yeah, I actually will be busy the 14th and forward will be
well,
kind of.
so maybe even this Friday in a couple days. I mean, I know it's kind of like soon, but we could potentially gather there, and if people are
Is
available.
this Friday the viewing or the funeral for Mike?
Is that
Also,
what
not
happened?
everyone
Shit.
has to go.
I didn't even know. I wasn't sure if he had actually died. That really sucks. Thanks for letting me know.
Oh, he's still alive?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I just heard something had happened to Mike, and I didn't really know about the details.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, he ended his life.
Yeah.
So
Well, holding space for our lovely friend Becca and her brother, who apparently
family, her mother. Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one. The girlfriend had a hard time too. It's not, I don't want to share too much, but basically girlfriend was ending their relationship. He was going to move back in with his parents. And then the night that he was going to move back in, he decided to end it instead of moving back. So it's kind of
sending love to the family.
traumatizing.
That is tough for sure. But yeah, we keep pressing forward and loving each other as best we can. So we can keep talking about when we might be able to do that. I'm not sure about when that celebration of his life is. But yeah, regardless.
Yeah, that would be my only conflict for Friday. I would like to come and coordinate with you, Christopher, if you wanted to go together. If not, then I'm just working around that this weekend if it's happening. So
Cool. Well, let's keep that in mind. We'll kind of keep maybe Friday, Shane, as like a Friday evening as like a tentative. Let's just like get together, see the space, hang out for a bit. Anyone who wants to come and just kind of like feel the land, and we could kind of like discuss some ideas for events and stuff that are there, and that'd be really cool. So we'll kind of keep that in mind. I'll write that down real quick. But yeah, so cool. Does anyone else have anything to say regarding like I guess events and Shane's food forest and things like that? Cool.
I'd also like to, before we get into anything too much else, I'd like to bring a opportunity for anyone to bring up any needs that they have or concerns.
Yeah.
I think that would be, important platform. I don't currently feel any pressing. But,
Anyone at all? Going once.
I want to offer something, if you don't mind. When you get started in the past, I've seen a lot of with terraforming type of communicating with energy that we're just getting started with. Before I just kind of invite everybody to think before they bring 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, any amount of people on a kind of new piece of land, to just think about the calibration and think about how Earth is alive. And she wants to be asked permission, like any feminine energy wants to be asked permission in a very loving way, and of course being granted that permission always, because that's who Earth is. But it usually just ends up being less chaotic and more helpful when we show up and we do maybe a somatic processing event. That's one thing that I'm really, really passionate about, is somatic processing dancing. I have a mix that I use over and over that was really used with the mycelium network to bring up the mycelium network and kind of give it the vibrations that it really loves so that it's more supportive.
Yeah.
So sometimes with any piece of land, to show up and say, hey, we're going to be doing this, this, and this here, like, and we want you to be involved, Earth. That's about it. And then go forward and do whatever you want, like get crazy.
Yeah. No, I love that for sure. I think, maybe that would be what we basically do on like Friday or whenever we plan on going over there and meeting up. We can basically just go and ask both Shane and the Earth and each other, and just kind of have discussions about what, like, it's basically just brainstorming, but also, like you said, basically straight up just asking and like feeling it. And definitely I agree that all this is really about Glitz and I have talked a lot about this, but the concepts of energy exchange and just like understanding what we're doing with our efforts. And like we go and we like burn something down, and that has effects, and like being able to know that like kind of spirals out as well. So I appreciate that suggestion. That's a really good bet. And I think that's basically what I'm picturing as far as coming together and talking about some things.
I think Saturday before or after the meeting would be a good time to go to Shane's.
Yeah,
I think too. That's why I was suggesting Saturday.
Not Friday.
Saturday morning. We could probably do Saturday morning.
Not Friday.
How's Saturday morning feel to you, Shane, and anyone else?
I mean, I'm possibly more available on Saturday. That's why I recommended it, because I think I think I have the Friday viewing or funeral. So
Yeah, and Saturday would be probably better for me anyways. I'm available Friday, but Friday evening is going to get tight.
Okay, let's do Saturday morning then. That seems like it's better for everyone. We can make that happen.
And even
I'm thinking, what's morning? Is that 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock? What's morning for other people?
11:30.
Yeah.
Say like 10.
You said 11:30. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Were you saying something, Sunshine?
You can round that up to noon, okay?
even though I don't know you guys, if I show up on Saturday, are you guys okay with my little mini shaman? She's 7.
Yeah,
Sure.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah.
I want to make
Bring
sure
the little. That's one of the most important pieces in my opinion. So
Thank you. She represents a lot. She's done a lot.
She can meet Jeremiah.
Yay.
yeah, that'd be great. So yeah, Jessica, if you can make it there, that'd be really awesome too. I think that'd be a good spot for you to see as well. It's really quite beautiful what Shane's done over there. It's quite epic. He's even got ducks.
Yay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm hosting the event right now. I'm waiting for Serene. Um, so yeah, so far so good.
Nice. This is the first Wild
Heck yeah.
School event you're
Yay,
doing.
good job, Jessica.
Heck yeah.
Killing it. Yeah, I definitely want to like a lot of these things too. I want to create a lot of like Facebook events for all these things. Like for instance with Sunshine here, creating like a recurring Wild School event, and also creating her December 4th event that she's gearing up for as well. So I'll be basically, Princess and I have talked about it. I might have mentioned this to most people here, but yeah, Princess and I are going to spend some time most likely this week. I'm thinking kind of like probably even early Monday. Well, early Monday next week. I'll be in town Monday and Tuesday and stuff. So start doing some like social media things, creating some events and getting some more structure in the social media category, which can always be helpful. So that's something that I'm planning on doing alongside Princess, who has offered to also provide anyone who is interested in, just learning about social media and like ways that we can like kind of streamline it to make everything more effective. She's got a lot of good information
I
on
just mean like whenever I'm like setting up the social media and stuff with you, we can do like a live Zoom or something and people can like see what we're doing and ask questions.
Yeah, so that's a
And
good bet.
then-
So we can set up an event for that, and I'll advertise to everyone.
No, it doesn't have to be an event. It's just gonna like
Well,
kind of just be like setting up social media stuff.
yeah. I just mean like it's like a workshop, right? It's just setting up kind of like a workshop. People can hop on and Zoom, if they're interested in the social media aspects of things, and kind of
Are you
discuss.
saying that you're not going to be like teaching how to do it? You just want us to be involved, like it's like a group activity?
Kind of like a group activity.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not
And
trying to
I
make
can just like share some of the little knowledge that I know and like why I'm doing something this way or that way with the social media stuff.
Working with the algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So,
I want to say something about that too.
yeah, please do.
I'm really excited. A lot of us have been getting a lot of messages and clear downloads that we really, really, really need to help support those that have been like me. I grew up Buddhist and Amish and like going to Apache feasts. You don't record those. You do not digitally. That's like a big no-no growing up, is like you never pull your camera out for a sacred moment. And lately, I mean, Spirit has been really like, get the cameras rolling. So I've been working with a lot of people that, I mean, their content is amazing. We should be definitely watching this as a mass population to get back centered with our truth center. And instead, most of us are very uncomfortable and have a lot of blocks when it comes to computer stuff. So I've been really pushing a lot of people that have been healers their whole lives and have, ashrams that are very calm. And I'm like, come on, guys, we got to rip up these videos and create TikToks. Like, people scrolling through our information more than anything. And where do you take a lot of this information? To where they're already being entertained. That's their comfort zone. TikTok. So come on, let's get some silly shenanigans out there. Let's get some TikToks, like even with sacred geometry drawing in the sand, like speed it up, make it entertaining. Who cares? Give them what they want, as long as it's massively the content that needs to be looked at by humans. This is going to help.
Bye, Sunshine. Love you.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And definitely a huge component of what we're trying to do is definitely documentation of this stuff. I know Ashley's kid, Ellie, has offered to, or I don't know where we're at with this, but has taken some interest in the TikTok aspect of things. I'm working with like Facebook. I don't really know social media super well myself on a larger scale, but I definitely do see the value in recording and posting all sorts of different things, ranging from like the healing and workshop aspects to the actual like building of the tiny homes, the actual like food forest tours and workshops that we do for stuff like that. So yeah, I think that is a very good point, and definitely kind of smoothing over that gap between the different cultures who have different perspectives on recording and all that. But yeah, I love it. Thank you, Mandala.
Thank you guys for getting the same message.
Yeah,
It's
for
gonna
sure.
be possible when we work in large numbers. So yay.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, awesome. A couple things I wanted to address, which goes back to appreciate the patience, everyone. But I will be these next few days. I have off, so I'm going to be spending some time working on some Communitopia things. One of those being setting up the bank account, which I still have failed to do up till this point. But I'll be setting up the bank account. We got the information we need and everything, and then we can start really channeling money and funding into that. So it's not like just sitting in my bank account. It's like another bank account. I've basically just been keeping track of all of it and just been sitting in my bank account. But yeah, I definitely want to keep something separate, and then we can make sure that it's a lot more transparent and everything like that with all that. So that's one of my main tasks. I'll likely be doing that tomorrow, I believe. So I have a few days to kind of get some of that organized. So that's one thing. Yeah, so I also I created so Ashley's created a spreadsheet. I created one for Jessica as well. That's basically just like the lists of all the for the food forest, it would be the list of planters, the list of plants that people have, and the list of places that people want to plant. I know it's a lot of P's. I love alliteration. So but yeah, so basically that's one of the things that we're kind of forming at the moment are these documents, one of them also being for the tiny homes that Ashley has graciously been developing. That is a list of people who want to build, a list of places that we can gather supplies, ideally, sustainably sourced supplies, and then also places that we can build. So these are things that we can kind of all keep in mind. And this is like, the building of the network of all the people that, I've got a few people in there, but there's a lot more filling out to do. But, and it can be across the entire country. We can just start filling out the list. And then when we get people in those places that, want to plant, we can just connect them to the places that they can plant and connect them with the places that have the plants. And there's also like nurseries that we can get aligned with. Doesn't have to be necessarily free plants, but just like places that we're working with to get the plants and the supplies for building tiny homes and things. Even places that just throw out a bunch of pallets. Throwing out a bunch of pallets. Cool. Contact us. We'll come and pick them up. And we just create that line of communication between businesses. Another thing I'm looking to source too, if anyone has any leads on this, is just separated wood chips for mushroom cultivation. So I'm going to be working towards developing the mushroom cultivation business with Justin, who's also part of the team, Justin Marlin. And I know quite a few other people who are doing mushroom cultivation. So also I'm going to be creating a list for mushroom cultivation. So really, yeah, I think a lot of this organizational stuff is coming to really connect all the people with the right people and all the supplies that we need and stuff. So that's definitely something that's on my list, to just create all these spreadsheets that we can all have access to in a Google Drive or something. You can just add them in there, or you can let me know, or we could just straight up put them in there.
Let's opened up a folder for us to start dropping things into, so that way you could at least download the document and edit yourself and re-upload it. I would like to, if we're gonna be like editing it around each other, I would think maybe we keep at least a week's worth of edits in the folder. So when you download it, maybe put the new date on it and your initials and then upload it. So that way, we can kind of see and track which revisions, and maybe, I know it sounds like a lot, but
I think it does that. I think it tells you whenever people update it.
Okay, I just didn't know how Google Docs works. So
I don't either.
Track changes
100%.
box at work, and it tracks all the changes. It saves all the old versions. You can go back and get them all. But I just don't know if we're going to be like change. I mean, I guess we can just trust each other and just try not to delete a whole bunch of stuff that may be important to someone.
That is a good idea.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I think it might update it, but I'm not sure because I also don't know 100% how it works.
Yeah, I think it does. I think we can basically set it up so that anyone who's updating it can basically create a like a backup before the updates, and then it will save it as an update. I'm pretty sure we can set it as that. So I can go through and try to figure that one out with
If
the.
we start doing that, then we have to have someone that's gonna compile afterwards. So if we're not just gonna have one revision thing that everybody is allowed to revise, then we're gonna have somebody compiling everyone's revisions, which also creates another job that's kind of like not daunting, but labor intensive. If that makes sense,
It did sound like trust might be a life hack here.
Yeah.
Trust.
I would
Yeah.
like it to operate without that.
Thank you,
if that makes
Shane.
sense. I would like to have.
Thanks,
Appreciate you
Shane.
coming.
But
I mean, there's always blockchain.
Yeah, there is. I mean, yeah, honestly, integrating with the blockchain is not a bad idea at all.
What's that?
Well, crypto essentially, and like the data that you can harness using the blockchain technology, which is basically all the technology connected to cryptocurrency and the data exchange that we can use. Oh, hi, Tom.
It basically takes trust out of internet data tracking.
Yeah. So that's definitely something we can work into. I'll put that in here. I am trying to keep relatively accurate notes for everything that's being said here. So I'm gonna try to.
Yeah, usually there's someone in charge of being a secretary. I did some secretarial stuff in high school. I am a lab technician. We keep a lot of records and stuff. So I don't know if that's going to be something that I could feel comfortable taking over, but if there is, that would be obviously you're in charge of the minutes, you're in charge of making sure the recordings are up, you're in charge of all the paperwork and things like that. It's kind of a big job, but it is something that would be nice if one person had their hands on as a responsibility, so we know that we can kind of go to that person and ask, or that workload isn't I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's hugely important. In fact, I mean that really does bring to the the segue of the fact that we definitely need. I mean, obviously, I've said this before, and we all know this. Like, none of us can really just do this by ourselves. So we can kind of delegate all the things that people be wanting to do. Princess has been doing a great job with some various of those like secretary kind of tasks, and also just keeping me on track, which has been helpful. But obviously, I don't want anyone to be overwhelmed by what they're taking on. That we can all kind of have like a shift in, we can all kind of shift and form to what needs to be done, and we can kind of take on responsibilities at our own, like when we feel like we're capable of being able to do that. And even for me, and just noting the fact that it's like, I started this whole thing, like me and Glitz and a few other people, and it's kind of it's got its own legs, and, but at the same time, it's like, I want to be able to do everything, but it's obvious that, I'm not even able to keep up myself with all this stuff and all the stuff I've got going on in my own life. So I'm just doing the best I can. I know that we all are, and I think that's what it comes down to, is let's all just be real about what we're able to offer, and what we want to be doing, and then finding the people that fit into those, categories of their work tasks or whatever it is that they're wanting to focus on. And then we just all empower each other to be able to accomplish that, and, hold each other accountable, but also being, flexible in the sense that we know we all have our own like lives going on, and that things come up, and we're all kind of trying to work around each other's schedules. But I think it's been really great that we've been able to continue doing this thing and continuing to have the talks and everything, and being able to fit it into all of our busy schedules. It shows to me, and it's clear to me, that this is really important to all of us. It's definitely very important to me, and I want to just I want to just keep doing everything I can to, putting energy into this. So I appreciate all of you guys doing the same. So, yeah.
I have something else to say.
Yeah,
So,
please do.
do you guys have a nonprofit corporation structure?
Well, yes, we do.
Structure. Okay. Did you guys already do the bylaws and kind of pick the corporate structure for president and you got vice president, treasurer, secretary?
Yeah, we got three. It's I'm the president, Glitz is vice president, Princess is secretary. All these things are able to be obviously like shifted, in whatever ways that we feel. But yeah, we do have that structure. We did file the paperwork and everything. We're still kind of in the process of waiting for it to all be approved. I imagine that'll probably be in a couple weeks or so. It usually takes like something like 6 weeks, I heard. It's probably like 4 to 6 weeks or something. But yeah, we do have some of those structures, but you are noting a necessary object of focus, which would be to really solidify, all of these pieces and get it even more structured properly. I do need to look into like all the bylaws and everything that we need to really, set up in stone. So yeah, that's some of those next steps for sure.
And I can help with some of that. I'm really passionate. I've been doing this with 373 acres in Tennessee for a few years.
Nice.
And it's had its ugly days to the point where we've kicked everyone off again. Because what happens is having that written, clear, intentional structure is very helpful. It's just integrating magic into current days, because that's how you did magic. You have a written, clear intention. So
Right.
that's really
No, yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I do have a lot. I can send to you after this mandala if you don't have it, but we do have a lot of like the structure written up, but there is a ton more to be added to it. It's really just the like the skeleton structure of some of the agreements that we want to have with each other. Some of the projects that we're focusing towards, and but yeah, there's definitely a lot more to go into that. Definitely want to have that also as a collective conversation, so it's not just me being like, here's the rules for the community, like like we can kind of obviously I don't get to set that, and no individual does, that we all get to kind of just discuss what we want a community to look like, and and kind of come to some agreements about uh what we think is good or bad, and nothing really is good or bad. It's just really successful or unsuccessful, and and so it sounds like, Mandala, you have a decent bit of experience with the challenges that arise from just setting up communities. And I know probably a number of us here do, in our own various ways. I know Ashley and I went through a whole process of setting up a community space that, we're still in the community. It's just there were a lot of challenges and similar circumstances of everyone being kicked off the property and needing to be reset and everything, which, that can be challenging, but it's also kind of part of the whole like alchemical process of trying to figure all this stuff out, and and going through those hard times with each other, and then being able to talk about it and discuss it and find better ways to do things. So yeah, that's very good advice.
it was never about that one place for me. I just see that it's going to be like an intentional town,
Yeah.
and to have some community guidelines of just the intentional community guidelines. Those are on a website. Somebody else made it, but it made it very easy to adapt those rules in. And then of course we take our time, but as long as they're written, oh my God, it's so much easy, because then you don't have to deal with that hierarchy. You just get to watch again once it's written down and be like, I don't know the rules. I don't remember them. I got to go read them to remind myself anyways, because they've changed so much. Like,
Right.
but I want to stay more local, and that property is going to stay empty until spring. And really getting these pieces out there. It wasn't about one intentional community. It was about all of them. And like you're saying, like you guys are up with the ideas that I'm like, I don't all this. It's going to take like hundreds of thousands of, no, it's going to take billions, and that's okay. And that's the awesome part of all this. But as I find different grants, I'm really into the legalities and the grants, because it's nice to not, if you have something that you need to pay for to get a grant, why not put that donation money into the paid for thing and then save for the grants, especially if there's going to be educational properties, which there are, all of this. Then those education platforms can get really high grants depending on what county or state you're in. So that's kind of my obsession. I get really, really weird with my autism and stuff, and very quirky. I'm picking up the information of different grants in different places.
So that's something else I would love as I do that, to just send it over and then you do what you want with it too. Cause you can put that in with the mushroom cultivation and where to
Yep.
get different planks from, but also where to get a different grant from and why you might want to structure it this way to get $100,000 instead of nothing.
Right, right. No, that'd be hugely helpful. Definitely looking for someone. It's like, I'm not super knowledgeable on the whole process of acquiring grants and grant writing and the things that need to be done to do that. I can certainly participate in that and want to learn more about
I
it.
do have an update on that, the
Okay.
grant. I would like to work more closely with Anna on that. I know she has a little experience, and I've got plans to go to grad school in the coming future, and I've recently decided that I'm gonna go ahead and postpone that application for another year. So that I can give myself a little bit more time to stabilize with the kid integrating into adulthood, and really this kind of getting off of the ground, and then dad getting a little bit more integrated into something he can chew on while I'm in grad school.
Yeah.
So I think I can spend the next year or two really, because the application would be, next December, and then I would start the next fall. So I have like 2 years basically before I would be an actual student. That there are all of these grant writing workshops available to me on campus at USF all the time, like all the time. So it would be in my best interest personally for going to grad school and even getting my lab funding. I could just get into grant writing and write grants for my boss, and we could pull in tons of money if, because I know what I can do, you know what I mean? And it would be good practice for me, as well as it would get me familiar with how to organize the grants and how to word them in a way, like you said, making sure that we say things that aren't going to be sandpaper to those things that we're kind of working against, even though, this place are kind of going to be working against us. We don't want to let them know right up front, like, hey, we're going to be pushing on you. It'd be nice to get a little bit of ground together before
Get
we
some
start.
momentum.
Yeah.
Feel that.
Foundation. So, so I think that would be something that I would say hands up on. I would like to be on that team.
Okay.
And the due diligence I can do is I can immediately ask my boss what kind of grant writing classes are available, where I can find those posted, and I can just start attending.
Cool.
Yeah.
Take some notes for that, and we could all, I'm sure, find a lot of value in what they're teaching there.
I could also share in the group, maybe the builders group. I don't know if everyone's in that one, maybe the architects group, when those workshops are, because I think they're free. I don't think you have to be an employee or a student. I think that
If they're online, I'm definitely down to attend. So send me links and stuff.
I'll try and share that out for anybody else who's interested in being on that team. Let me know. We'll have a grant writing team. I'll make a Excel sheet for that too, of who's on that team.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm adding basically Mandala, Ashley, and Anna. You said I don't know, I think that might cut out, but Anna, you're also interested in the grant aspects.
Yeah, I've done a lot of grant work and nonprofit work for the last like 30 years. So yeah, I can do that.
Sweet. So
I am
you've got a good team.
also,
Mhm.
well, I'm also pretty interested in that because I am.
Hell yeah.
I'm basically going to try to be using a lot of the knowledge that's happening here to replicate a similar thing up here. It doesn't seem.
Yeah,
anyway.
that sounds great. Yeah, let's do that. So then you four are on the team essentially, and it's really just a matter of, we'll just kind of keep in connection with all that, and then anything that Mandala has that, she thinks might be interesting, kind of toss it over, and we can all kind of bounce it back and forth between each other.
And go ahead and make a grant writing chat, Grantopia. Okay.
Grantopia.
Grantopia. Hell yeah.
Grant Unitopia,
Yeah. Yeah, because
like
it's stuff I haven't wanted to bring up in the group because it's one of those topics that's kind of boring. So it'd be easier if it's in our own world.
Yeah, I mean, that's really a huge component.
And we'll take the A one.
Getting these things kick-started.
So we all have our own ambitions. We need resources to be able to do them. Grants is one way.
Exactly. So with that being said, too, I do have another plan that's in formation that I posted on the chat that I just want to bring up really quick. So I'm calling it, what did I call it? Communisculptia. So the idea is I've done this a decent bit with some other nonprofits. It's a way to raise funding in collaboration with art. So the idea is essentially to find a bunch of people who want to sponsor a sculpture that we will cast out many replicas of a sculpture, maybe a few different types of sculptures. So we'll basically be paying somebody to create the sculptures and paying people to cast them. So I do a lot of sculpture casting and mold making and things. So it's like kind of a business that I would be spearheading. And basically just teaching people to cast out a bunch of these sculptures. And so, you know, it's kind of the concept would be, say somebody buys a sculpture for like $1,000, say like 500 of it goes and gets distributed between the original sculptor, the casting artists, and the painters of those sculptures. So you find the sponsors, they'll find an artist or we'll find an artist for them to paint it in a unique way. They can like collaborate something, and sometimes you can use it as like an advertisement for a business or something like that. And then they get to keep those sculptures, and any of that excess profit that was made goes back into the nonprofit. So that's something I'm sort of developing. I have a lot of the skills necessary to do the thing, and I kind of want to create. And that, so with that being said, that I'll probably still rent out the warehouse space from my guy Mike, to be able to do the casting projects. And if we're not doing the tiny home building there, that's fine. We can just do the casting projects there, and then we'll have that space for the tiny home building when that comes about. So, you know, I'm kind of thinking starting small. Jessica has basically said she wants to start advertising for that and like talking to the people in Wild School. And even if we start out with even sculptures that like, you know, she was thinking like $50. It's going to be hard to make it like $50, maybe 100 for something small. We got to make sure that it's like, you know, that first off, people are actually able to get paid to do the work. Right? So there's like the sculpting, painting, and the casting work that all takes time and energy. And then we also need to make sure that we're making some excess money to go back into Communitopia for the sake of, you know, actually raising funds. But working out a little bit of that, those details, I'm gonna start, you know, I gotta get the list of materials and stuff together and see how much it would be for like a small sculpture like that. And I'll talk to my dad about that a decent bit, but because he's the one that really taught me about all this stuff. So, you know, it's something that he could help with. But that is, I think, a really good way to also.
I mean, what are you talking about? Like a foot tall? Like something that goes on a counter, you know, like a
like this kind of size, something like this, like it's like kind of
18 inches.
And like maybe make it associated with something, you know, I mean, you know, she was thinking like turtles to like save the turtles and things like that, like concepts like that. And then we could even, some of the funding could also go back, and like some of it could go to Communitopia and some of it could go to save the turtles or something like that, you know. So kind of raising funds for ourselves while also getting people jobs, while also supporting other nonprofits or even businesses and things like that that we want, you know, to align with. So yeah, that's kind of, I mean, to start off, it's probably easier and better to start small, and to be able to make a whole bunch of them. And it's probably easier to get 100 people to do, you know, $100 for a sculpture than it is to even get like 20 people to do, you know, 5,000, you know what I mean? But what we were doing were life-size goats and dogs. These were big. They go up to your waist, and they were like on platforms and stuff. We had to cast out the base and the dogs, and like, and then another project was goats. Another project was smaller with puppies. And those were, I think they were selling for like 7,000 a piece. And we were probably making, as casting artists, probably around like $2,000 off of each of them. And so that extra, you know, like probably like $5,000 or so was distributed between the artists who painted them and also setting up all these events that are associated with it, which that's kind of brings to the next point too, where we essentially have these big like unveilings of all this awesome art that's been created by people. So we have kind of like fundraising galas that are, you know, also just, you know, we could be asking for fundraising there as well. For the project, even separate from the sculpture making. But basically having events where we show all this art and we have all this like cool stuff, and we speak about Communitopia, and we have all the people, you know, various people come up and talk about their projects that they're doing and things like that. So it could be a really good like advertising and networking opportunity, as well as, creating jobs and getting some funding. So that's sort of one of the things that's bouncing around in my head that I think I've seen it have a lot of success for other nonprofits. I know that's something that we can implement. But probably the best way to start is to initially just go with something small that we can cast out, that we could just have a couple people who are interested in learning about sculpture casting. Maybe it would just be casting out like a few per week, and you're only, it's like a part-time work kind of scenario. But ultimately, I'd like to develop the business in a way that for whoever wants to be doing casting of sculptures, just set them up, and we can get clients, and we can funnel some of it through Communitopia. But I also want to it's a cool process, and it's fun. People really like learning about these things, and if we have like a group of people that are interested in it, we can teach them, they can teach others, and we can kind of get something going that they can see if they like it, and come in for a day, cast out 5 sculptures, and then you get paid on the number of sculptures you cast or something like that. So yeah, so I think that's kind of where I'm going with it at the moment. And then ultimately working up to having some really awesome, even like $10,000 sculptures where 5,000 is going to Communitopia and the other 5 is, between the casting artists and the painters and things. So, we can kind of work up to that. But yeah, I think that'd be a really cool project to get going, and I've seen it very successful. So
cool. Heck yeah.
Yeah. So, so those were most of the things that I had to talk about as far as like the sculpture, bank account, spreadsheets. We discussed tiny homes, and sort of some of the next steps with all that. I don't know, Ashley, is there or Glitz or whoever, is there any sort of developments at Sky's house? Anything that needs to be done? Anything we're looking to try to accomplish, particularly there next?
So yeah, there's a couple things. Do you want to touch on them first, Glitz, or do you mind if I just go ahead and cap what I've concluded?
Go for it.
Okay. What kind of jumped in priority is the fence. We have dogs getting out problem. So
Right.
I know that, that's like a build. We need to kind of fortify the fence. I've done a lot of that with chickens, which is, really hard. Dogs are a little bit easier. They do dig, but they don't fly. So so that'll be that kind of jumped in priority. It's not too hard, but we do need to make sure that we have the supplies available to fill the hole with rocks. Getting a bag of rocks from Home Depot, whatever, and then that should solve the problem. You don't really need to fix the fence. The fence isn't really broken. It's just they dug under it. So some sort of deterrent there. And then the next thing is doing the wood shed. So the firewood shed. We have this nice box that it basically just doesn't, it could be turned on its side and it'll serve as the wood shed for right now, because, technically it just maybe putting something waterproof on top of it to be like a roof or something, but it's basically good to go, and we can relocate the wood. And Dad and them could get a little fancy with it if they wanted to build around it, maybe make it bigger or whatnot. And then the windows, we've kind of we've made a lot of progress on the price points and stuff like that. So that's really just waiting now. Sky's waiting for a presentation to give to Dad, so I'm planning to put something together. I've already started the PowerPoint on that to be able to, and then I'll just update it with the inventory or supply list. And then Dad's asked to meet me. I've not met Dad yet. I've met Mom multiple times. So that's kind of something that I think will, that really needs to be done to do any forward movements in terms of building on their property. Not that they have to fund that tiny home build in the back. We could fund it, but I'm moving it potentially if that's going to happen. So, they can buy it from us or whatever. We can work out something, but
yeah, cool. Well, I'd be down to also meet up with him if he has any desires to. Just keep that in mind. You can mention that to him, that I'm open.
Maybe all 3 of us would be a good, maybe me, you, and Dad. It could be a good move. Glitz too, maybe, if he wanted to come in, because this is going to be something that moving forward, it could be let's plan on that. Let's plan on making that a group meet. It would be a good balance, I think, for all of us to be meeting him at the same time. And then Glitz, do you want to go ahead and say if there's anything that I kind of like missed that is on the build list or that needs to be done at Sky and Gonzo's?
No, I think definitely the build list is, you know, it comes along as it's coming along, you know, so everyone knows where we're kind of at, and we just need to put in the work and make the presentation. Yeah, it's
I'm trying to get
yeah,
my sheet ready.
Gonzo's here. It's like happening. We're hanging out. It's a community space. So yeah, this is Communitopia headquarters. We're definitely excited to have more community involvement here and do some community gatherings and yeah, this space is definitely calling for the collective. So
Yeah,
excited for y'all to join us here at some
Yeah,
point.
it's a great example of how we can, like, the community is already here. It's a little bit like everyone's kind of distributed and like, you know, everywhere. But the beauty of it is I think the abundance is already here for all of us. It's just a matter of like seeing it. That like, you know, the building in people's backyards is probably like the best way to start all of this stuff. And really like, and then in the documentation of it, how we transition that into the developments on you know, larger plots of land that will become more of like the town kind of scenario. So it's like kind of starting out in like these smaller groups that we can like, you know, work through some of the struggles, you know, even just in a household, and then taking the next steps to like, okay, well, these are the things we learned from that. How do we apply that to like larger groups of people and, you know, and developing other land. I love the idea, like, let's just do some projects out at Skies. And we should really, honestly, like the best thing that we could probably get from that is documentation. I mean, other than just like the fact that these awesome things are being accomplished that need to be done and to get the space up, but even just documenting like, well, this is where we got to start. The dogs are getting out. Let's pour some gravel into some holes, and just like literally just showing that like we did something. Like this is what it means to just like accomplish a goal, you know, and like, and then step by step, we kind of keep showing the different things. And I think people really love to see like the developments of things and like the changes as they
Well, the
go.
organic, yeah, the unfolding. It's an unfolding, you know, of you know, yeah. And big time dealing with those everyday hiccups, you know, understanding that we're not just presenting our glitter and glory, we're presenting, you know, what it's taking, you know, what it's taking to get to that point of having that, you know, going through that struggle and showing that storyline. I think it's really important for people to know that we are human and we don't just magically have a special place with catches that you don't know about yet. We've been going through this grueling, you know, process, and you can see how it's been. So I think that's really cool too. Yeah.
Well, that's all part of the transparency, right? Because it's like, you know, I don't want to like present this as like, you know, something like it's like we don't have it all figured out yet. If we did, we'd all be living on these beautiful communities with the abundance everywhere. You know, it's like there's obviously problems along the way, and being able to talk about the problems and coming up with solutions as a team about that, and then presenting those solutions where they work and don't, you know, that'd be perfect.
No manual for that.
Yeah, there isn't.
For community. You know, you can't just approach each situation with, you know, something logged into your computer in case you happen to do it the next time. Well, it's a nice guideline, yeah, but you got people working together to a common goal. You know, the dynamic changes with each breath. So
yeah, well, let's create that manual.
Here's my thoughts.
Yeah, let's create the manual, guys. That's the idea. It's like, you know, we kind of go through these processes and hopefully we're able to address some of the problems so that other people don't have to, and they can just kind of, I like the idea, especially.
HR for the new world.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoop whoop.
Exactly. So I'm loving it. Well, it looks like we managed to knock out a full hour and a half meeting, my friend. So I'm glad we have enough to talk about, enough information that we kind of just went on for longer than necessary. But that's a beautiful thing. So I'm grateful for y'all being here, and continuing this awesome discussion and making some moves. And yeah, we'll definitely keep I'll just keep in contact about what we're doing, and if there's anything anyone else has to add to the whole scenario or any more comments.
Again, I would like to designate a time for Saturday. I think 10 o'clock or 9:30 would be, I mean, I don't know what time you guys are thinking, but just
let's do 10.
10.
How's that sound?
Okay.
Like 10 and 10:30 would be good.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how long are we planning on being there?
I'd say it doesn't really matter, but I'd say probably a couple hours. Let's say a couple hours.
Maybe even like 11.
We could do like 11. I mean, I'm fine with it being like I mean, 11 would be fine with me if everyone's down with that. I mean, just be there from like 11 to like 1 or so.
I like it because with the kids on the weekends, it actually is. It's harder for them to get out the door than it is for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mandala, you're in this area. You're kind of around St. Pete.
I'm up in Holiday, but I'm willing to drive the hour always.
Okay.
I really love this. I just want to say I'm grateful because I do have autism and multiple personality disorder and like all sorts of things in my human that make it really hard to communicate with people. And they're like, oh, we're sweet. And then one day I'm like a completely different dragon.
Yeah.
So it was really, it was really fulfilling the last 10 years to really realize it's a gift that we need a bunch of people, not a burden. It's just that we're working out the kinks, and this kind of signifies a monumental moment for me, even being on this Zoom chat. Like I'm having a terrible morning, and then getting on here, I would sit here for 4 hours and talk about this because it's all I care about. So I'm like,
I can relate.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here too and bringing that energy.
Thank you.
That's what it's about for sure. Nice.
Yeah, I do appreciate you chiming in, and I heard about you, and I'm glad to be able to put like a face to that idea of a person. So thank you for being here today and wanting to contribute, because anyone who's done community building understands the icks and how we respond to those in each other. And how that can kind of just break down a whole, scene of what we're trying to do. So, I appreciate that experience, those experience points, and those coming to the table, because, troubleshooting those from those past experiences is kind of what we have to offer each other. So.
And I present scripted things on stage. Nobody would ever things wrong with me, but when it comes to a close, intimate circle, like starting off, I would be, put links and things that I understand, but get it done. No, I'm a linear autistic thinker. I can't go step by step. So being able to offer that to people that are capable of that, I can't get anything done. That's honestly, like, I'm going crazy with all this, and then I get my feelings hurt. So instead, being able to share the knowledge, just send links and send things that are easy to look at, and have you guys be able to actually formulate kind of normal brain processing is, I'm nothing without a team. I am ridiculous as an individual person. So it's like, yeah, like, let me load you up with things and I just stay back here for a while. Like,
I think we can all kind of relate with that a little bit, and like that's kind of the funny part is this is like a whole like community of people all with their own individual personalities. And when I say personalities, I mean plural as well, because we all do kind of have these fluctuations of like where we're at and like you know, like I try to be as stable as I can, but you know, there's also times where I'm just like pissed off and having a horrible time, and it like, you know, it kind of comes out and all that, and you know, we kind of we're all trying to hold space for each other to for all of our different personalities and the challenges that we go through. You know, we it's like falling back on that trust and love and compassion that we have for each other. Like we know what we're working towards, and that even if there's conflict along the way, it's like, I mean, yes, I guess especially when there's conflict along the way, that's when we know that there's kinks to be worked out, and like more conversation that can be had. So, you know, I'm happy to see we're all here, like, you know, aligned behind these ideas. I think that's what's really keeps us together, is this like idea of like connection with each other, and community really is like, for me, that's what it's about. It's about like, you know, having like this compassion for everyone that's involved in all of their states and through all of their challenges and struggles, and we're just here to try to help everyone through that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you guys have definitely helped me with that as well, so thank you.
You're very welcome.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Woo! Yeah, I think we're doing really good balancing out each other's strengths and weaknesses. So I think this is, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go.
Unless anyone has
Alrighty.
anything else.
I'm feeling pretty concluded at this point. So I will plan on seeing you at 11 at Shane's.
11.
And I will see whoever comes to the Zoom meeting, you know, at 4 o'clock on Saturday. I plan on being available for that. Yeah, I'm gonna put together my presentations, and then you and I need to set aside a time to go meet Dad Curtis, you know. So
Cool.
yeah.
Well, that might be best for the next weekend, but we'll keep talking about that.
Yep, please do.
Yep.
It's just I don't want to hold up the project building too much there. You know, Dad's itching over here, so I don't want to wait another couple weeks just because we haven't met Dad yet. I might just go ahead and meet him independently.
Chris, maybe like Monday or Tuesday after you're off work would work, because the weekends are kind of busy for you. But after work, Monday or Tuesday might work for you.
Yeah,
They are a 2-hour drive away, I think. So.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I know. Well, we'll talk about it.
We'll figure it out.
Possibility, but
Yeah, the
we'll
weekends are kind of busy.
I mean, I could also always meet on Zoom as well with Dad. If I can't be there physically and you wanted to go meet, then I could potentially just meet and, you know, listen and throw in my 2 cents here and there. But you know, I'd like to meet in person. That'd be ideal.
We'll see.
Yep, we'll try to figure it out.
There might be too many moving parts for a first meet, so I'll let you know. I don't want to overcomplicate it. Okay. All right. I love you guys. I'm feeling good.
Me too.
Thanks, everybody.
Love you so
Thank
much.
you.
Peace, y'all.
Y'all are so awesome. Y'all are badasses.
I'm sick. I'm gonna go back to resting.
Oh, yeah. Feel better soon.
Take care of yourself.
Have a great day, y'all. I love y'all.
Love you guys.
Yeah, I love you guys. Have a good day.
See ya. Bye, Tom.
Bye, Chris.
See you guys.
Peace.